Alright, so by the way guys, pakita rin yung screen. Maklaro rin ninyo. Alright, so again, while we are discussing, while we're having this class, try to set your screen into full screen. Try to set your phone into full screen, and that way you'll be able to see the codes that we'll be dealing with today clearer, diba? So make sure it's on full screen, and then maybe it's in landscape, and that way you'll be able to see the codes properly. So let's open up our codes. So these are the codes that we had last time. So we have here the index.html, and then we have here the style.css. So these are the codes that involved for the layout of our web page. And then these are the codes for the mobile view. So obviously today we're going to style it for both the desktop and the mobile view. Okay. So what's the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to prepare our preparation nato to ang web page. That means we're going to add the necessary elements for our web page. So that would be, of course, we're going to add photos. So when adding any multimedia in our web page or website, it would be best. Go ahead. Okay, whenever we're going to add any multimedia to our web page, it would always be better. But it will always be better if we're going to arrange them or organize them into proper folders. Okay, so let's say for example, if kanatang mo add of photos sa atong website, that means all the photos that will be involved, that will be used for our website, must be saved on a folder, diba? So that is one of the things that every web designer must always remember, is to organize your files. In that way, it would be easy for you to use them. So that means if we're going to add photographs to our website, then we're going to store it in a folder. So I'm going to create a folder here that says images. All right. And then let me just copy all the pictures that I'll be needing. Hold on. Alright, so I have here all the photos already, so let me just copy this. Copy, and then let me paste it in my website. Alright, so I have here the photographs that I'll may be needing for my web page. So, okay, the first thing that you're going to do is to make sure that, especially for make sure to organize the multimedia or any files that you'll be needing for your web page. So right now, since I'm using, or since I am going to add photographs, then or images, then I have created here a folder only for the images. All right, so remember, the photographs or the images are gibutang siya sa folder nga images. So try to remember that because we'll be using that for our coding. Okay, so next is we're going to start working with our banner. All right, so this is the banner. Basically, most of the time, banners contains the title of the web page. So again, let's compare it to my wireframe here. Again, our target is going to be, hold on. So we will start with the banner, and as you can see for the banner, we have here background picture, and then a text that says Juleus R. Publico, graphic designer, and then this. All right, so let's start with the banner. So I know you guys already know how to add background color. Saan kita pag-add background color gani? Okay, So here, this is my banner nga division. So next, first is we're just going to open this up. We're going to call this on our CSS. So let me write it. Let me put it right about here. Hold on. Banner. There. Banner. Okay. So right now the banner or the background color or the background of our banner is kaning a color, but we want to remove this. I'm sorry. There. So we want to replace this with the actual picture. So let me look for that picture to make sure if naaba na siya sa akong webpage. Dara. So the file name is bg.jpg. So this is what I want for the background. So to do so, let's call our banner, which is this, the class banner. And then let's replace, instead of using background color, let's replace it with background image. And then how do we add background image for our web page using CSS? Isa lang dito yung value dapat ani. Anyone can remember? Kinsa makainom. Okay, nalimot sila. No, we are using CSS, so we will be using URL and then open and close parentheses and then open and close quotation and then the location of our web page. So based on the layout of my web page, unsay ako ibutang diring address or I'm sorry, nga URL. This is the layout. Okay, so image, that is the folder name, and sa ito'y file names ako ang picture dapat is bg.jpg. Alright, so bg.jpg. Okay, alright, let's save that and then let's check. Let's check how it looks like now. Okay, let's wala na siya nakita. Hold on. Ano wala? Hold on. Sa agad lisuda ning gamay kay screen. Daghan kang gi-open yung book ko. Dali lang ha. Baikon sa ako nako ang screen dito para di ka mag-lisod. Okay, makita na ang screen. Okay. All right. So this is how it looks like now. So basically, we've already added our background picture. So let's go back to our codes. So we are using background image, and then again to locate the background image, as you will be using the URL, and then open and close parentheses, and then inside the parentheses enclose with single quotation and the location of our picture. So the images is the folder name, and then bg.jpg, that is the actual file name of the picture. Now, in my case, it looks good, diba? It looks good. It's because the picture nga akong gidesign kana is it fit properly for my screen, diba? But sometimes na mga pictures, especially if we're just going to download pictures from the internet, sometimes the picture may not be dili siya pareha og size sa screen, diba? In my case, since I did it myself, I made sure nga ang screen mo fit siya sa akong screen. Or ang picture mo fit siya sa akong screen. What about if the picture, for example, gamay ra siya kaayo? Gamay ra siya para sa background image. So again, we'll be using another attribute or another property is to make sure na mo-fit siya automatically sa atong screen, we'll be using the background. Isa siguro. Para automatic siyang mo-fit sa atong screen. Ano mo? Okay. Background size. If we're going to write 100%, kuan siya. Now, this is for the background, okay? So instead of, since this is a background, we are going to use background size and then cover, okay? So what that means is it will automatically cover the entire screen of our browser. So let's say, for example, okay, let me just open up CSS background size. Right? So to give us, I know we already discussed it last time, but just to give us more idea about CSS background size property, here it is. So take a look at the picture. So for example, we have this is a scenario where the picture is just too small for the entire screen. So by default, kung size the picture, mo rin na siya display. So for example, in this case, gamay kay ang entire screen. So that is auto. That means background size is automatic. That is default. Now, if we're going to set 100 by 100, so see how it also changed. Now, if we're going to use percentage, let's say, for example, if we're going to use 50%, then that means it will utilize 50% of the entire screen, right? If we're going to set 100, here's what it's going to do. Now, if we're going to set cover, it will automatically cover the entire size of the screen while maintaining the resolution. Not the resolution, but the proportion. Because, for example, if we're using 100, as you can see, na-stretch siya. But if we're going to set cover, it will automatically cover for the entire screen. At the same time, iyang ikip ang proportion of the picture. That means dili siya mo stretch. All right, and then we have contain, and then we have initial. The initial is the default. All right, so that is the background size. So in our case, we're going to use background size cover. In that way, it will automatically adapt, or it will automatically adjust to the entire screen of our web page. Okay, adapt. All right. So next is we're going to add our text. So as you can see here, we're going to add this. All right. So there are different ways on adding text to our web. There are different ways in adding titles to our web page, and I want it to be something like this. So to do so, let's open up our codes again. Okay, and it is inside the banner. Yeah. So obviously we're going to create the text. So for us to be able to easily manipulate, or for us to be able to easily add, since we are going to add the text, bantay mo ang text and the is not nakatunga siya. So for us to be able to easily, para ma-move nato ni siya easily bisag asa, we're going to contain this Juleus Publico, this one, and this. We're going to put it inside another division, right? Para ang division lang ang atong i-move, then automatic lang na makuyog ang kaning mga text. Right? So under our banner, let's add another division here. This will contain katong atong title. So let's call it, let's say, okay, let's call it, it's a division, and let's call it banner title. And all right, and then inside the banner title, that is where we're going to add the title of our web page. So this time we'll be using header, H1, which is the biggest one. And then let's put in your title. Now, the title, it would be totally up to you, okay? Bisag unsa lang ang imong i-title sa inyong webpage. In my case, I'm just going to write my name. No, not to complicate things. All right? And then I'm going to use a paragraph for the graph, so for my title, which is graphic designer. Ano lang. Okay, let's save that and let's see how it looks like. Here, okay? So as you can see, nasa sa taas. So for us to move it easily, nato siya og another division because this particular division, we're going to move it anywhere in our. Okay, so how are we going to move it? Of course, we're going to use the style.css. So let's call in the banner title here. So let's write it just below the banner in a class. Let's call it right there. So it's going to be, since we're using class, it would be dot. And then let's say banner title. All right. And then the first thing that we're going to do is, okay. The first thing that we're going to do is, of course, we're going to put it right here, diba? I-move nato ni siya from the top to in this area. It could be either in the center, but to make our design balance, since naadto rin kadalasan ang mga picture, we're going to put it right here, diba? Graphics Designing 101 is balance, or design principle is balance. So we're going to put the text, or move the text right about here. So how are we going to do that? The first is we're going to set the position of our text or our division into relative. Right? That means it would be easy for us to. That means whenever we're going to move this text, it will only move inside this banner. Diba? Since diba ni-create man tao layout nga banner, which is this. So by setting the position to relative, that means we'll be able to move it, and then the numbers or the units that we'll be using or the measurements that we'll be using will always be inside this box or this layout. So that's that. We're going to set the position to relative. And then we're going to set the top margin to 50%. That means it will give 50% from the top. So meaning it will give us 50% of margin from the top to bottom. So if we're going to set margin 50% to the top, that means automatic siyang matunga dire. So let's try it. Let's reload. So basically, from this area, that is 50% of the entire screen from this point and that. So that means gikan sa taas, na-move na siya of 50% below. Now, as you can see, medyo dili siya yung perfect na 50%. That means because we know that ganahan ta nga dapat ang 50% will start from kaning Juleus and graphic designer. But if you can see, I'm not sure if maklaro ba na sa yung end, but the point of 50% is right about here. Kaning sa ibabaw sa akong name. So ganahan ko nga ma-move ang point from the center of both the graphic, from Juleus Publico and the graphic designer. So to do so, we're going to add these codes. We'll use the transform property. That means we are going to move the point from the top of the word to the center. So let's say translate, and then let's say 0. Let's just say, okay, let's set the 0 and -50. That means we are going to set or transform the point of the margin from katong diri nga side to, in this part for the 0, that means from left to right, and then the -50% is from top to bottom. So here's how it's gonna look like. Oops, wala na save. All right, I'm not sure if makita ba sa inyo yung any changes, but it's okay. Let's proceed. All right, and then next is Superman. We'll try to increase the text. We'll try to increase the font size. Alright, so to do so, we're going to use the font size, and let's give it about 200% buff. Save that, and then let's reload. Kana, mas nadako na siya. And then one more thing, we are going to, saman. Ganahan ko, before proceed by the way, before the ay dapat, this is what I want. Kabantay mo sa akong navigation, here. The navigation, if I'm going to scroll it down, the navigation will stay at the top. So let's do that first na lang so that we can continue with the rest of the body. So to do so, we just have to set the attachment of our navigation, which is this. Let's set the attachment of our navigation to, let's say, position, and then fixed. All right. Let's save that, and then let's reload. And let's try absolute now. Okay. All right. So as you can see, our navigation will no longer scroll together with the entire web page. It will now scroll together. It will stay on our screen regardless if we're going to scroll it down or up. Right. Let's proceed. Let's just set it back to relative. Right. Next is we're going to move it. Butangan na to og gamay margin dire because it's just too close to the edge. So we're going to create, or we're going to add a padding. So let's say padding, and let's give it about, or left. Let's give it about 5%. That means it will use 5% of the entire screen as the padding. So let's save that. Let's reload. So right here. All right. Ano lang sa. Okay, so kana lang sa, this is just what we want for our banner, and then let's proceed to the next. Next is kaning part. We're just going to skip this because this is just my own preference. So it is not going to be necessary to add any other elements to your web page. But for the sake of discussion, this dirira takoto. But you can always add more. So you can add either icons or links or any other text, diba? So let's say, for example, ganahan kong mo add of text of okay, let me just add some random text. Here, for example, if you want to add random text, then you can just add. So from this point, you're going to add another P, and then reload. So it will be totally up to you, but in this case, we're just going to keep it as it is. Do you follow, guys, or am I talking too fast? All right. Okay, so let's proceed to our next layout. So when we scroll it all the way down, we can see this layout right here. So what do we want to do is we would like to add a picture just like this. And on the right side, it will say graphic design, and then a link that whenever I'm going to click this, it will route us to the actual portfolio for graphic design. So, ganahan ra ko nga ang okay. Ganahan ra ko nga I want to put a picture on the right side, and this is not just any picture, this is a background picture. And on the right side, it's going to say graphic design and then view portfolio. All right. Okay, so let's proceed. So far, this is how it looked like. So let's open this up. So, okay, so that is in feature lab. That is that particular layout. So, kana isla nato na siya. So, isla nato na siya og picture. Butang nato siya background picture. This particular class. So it's right here. So feature 1 dash left. This one. Tara. So instead of using background color, we are going to replace it with a picture. So same thing, we're going to use background image, and then, I'm sorry, URL, and then images, and then let's select a photo for our web page. So I want this picture, 12.jpg. So that means 12.jpg. Let's save that, and then let's reload. Tada. Alright? And then, if you can see in this picture, di ba, iyang gitry og cover, since dako ra kayong picture para niya, ang nahitabo is na-crop ang atong picture. Here, ang nakita nga part is, if we're going to open this picture up, ang nakita nga part is kanilang. So, ganahan ko nga ang makita nga part is this. So, how do we do that? Nga ganahan ko nga kani ang makita nga part, dili ni. So, let's try to use the background position property. Cover naman siya automatic. So, we can change, let's use another CSS property, which is background. Okay, so let's set the background Let's set the background size to cover para sure. And then let's set the background size, background position. So let's try right, okay? So let's try right, meaning ang makita nga part is katong right side. So let's check, let's save that. Let's reload. Background. Sakto man, background. Okay, thank you. Alright. Tara. So ang nakita is ang right side. So let's try to change it. Let's say center daw. Center. Let's see if ase mas better. Alright, this is much better. Alright, so basically we are just moving the picture around. So by default, ang makita is katong left side. But by just moving it around, we're able to set it nga ang makita is ang center sa picture. Right? And then of course we use cover. Yeah, background size. Okay, so next is we'll add some text to the right side. On side text nato ibutang, we want to add this. Graphics design, and then view portfolio. Now, again, guys, this is just a guide, okay? You can change whatever it is that you're going to write it right here. So at least you already have an idea of unsa ni pagbuhat if you want to add any elements to that side. So we'll work on the feature or this particular division. So this is where we're going to add a text. So we'll add another division here. As usual, we're going to create another division to store these text that we're going to add. This time, let's call it feature 1. And then that's div. And inside this division, we're going to add our text. So still, we'll be using h1. And then let me say graphics designs. Graphic design na lang. And then a link that whenever I'm going to click that word nga view portfolio, it will route me to an actual page. So let's say href, and then for now, since we don't have any other web page, we're just going to use hash. So that means it will be ready for us to add later on. We're just going to add it later, an actual link later on, URL later on once we've already created another web page. And then let's say view portfolio, and then /a. All right. So let's save that and let's see how it looks like. All right. So the reason why I just want you guys to get it. Nga nung kinahanglan nato siya ibutang og lain nga division. As you can see here, based on our atong banner, which is this, we're able to move it around together. Na-move nato siya together. Mura siya ato siyang gig group para i-move nato siya madala na ng duha ka words, di ba? So whenever we are trying to move multiple text or multiple elements at the same time, it would be best if we're going to group them first. So that's the reason why we created, diba? So this is our original division. We created another division inside our parent division. So that means whatever it is that is inside this division will be automatically be grouped. So if ganatang i-move ni sila, magdungan na ng atong H1 ug ang atong A. Alright? So let's proceed. So here it is. What we want for this is ganatang same thing. We're going to move it in the middle, this part, and then okay, we want to move this part. We want to move this to this area. Okay, so same thing that we did with our banner title a while ago. Let's open up our CSS and then let's call in our feature. So it should be under feature 1, right? Okay, dire. So let's call it in. So it's feature right. I'm sorry, feature 1. And then the first thing that we want to do is to set the position again to relative. Again, what ang sagit sabot pag iset natong position to relative? Okay, that means dili siya mo ikyas dire ra jud siya sa box, meaning bisag ato siyang move around musulod dire ra jud siya sa box mismo. So if we're going to set it to any other type of position, let's say absolute, let's say for example if we set it to absolute, tendency is mugawas siya. Karon wala pa siya, but when we try to move it around, possible siya nga mugawa siya sa box itself. But setting it to, let's say, actually absolute or relative are similar, so that's the reason why mistake siya. But it would be safe if we're going to set it to relative, meaning it will always adapt to the parent division, which is kani atong parent division. All right, and then next we are going to set same thing. We're going to set the top margin to 50%. So that means ma-move na siya paubos, just like that. And then again, same thing. As you can see, ang 50%, if natay ruler karon, ang 50% yun, guys, is naa-diri nga part. Naa-diri nga part. So dili siya tunga gyud, di ba? Because ang 50% is naa-diri. So we want to move this kaning graphic design ng word, ma-move siya gamay a little bit to the top para ang 50% is really at the center. So same thing that we did a while ago, we'll use the transform and then translate and then 0 and then negative 50%. That means it will move 50% to the top of the element. Reload, let's save. Yep. Okay, again, let's reload. Kana. All right, so I'm not sure if maklaro ba sa yung end, but this time it would be, it's, kuha na siya, mas nilot na siya, mas tunga na dyan siya compared atong gaina. All right, so next, what we want to do is, so siguro next na itong button. Alright. The indent. Murag indent kumbaga. Alright, that's good. So let's set the padding to, let's give it a padding of, padding, then left, let's give it 5%. Now, it would be totally up to you guys, okay? As for the contents, it would be totally up to you. Pila gana yung measurement yung hatag. But in my case, I'm very comfortable using the percent because that means it will automatically adjust bisa kung sa man gani size sa screen. Okay? So, it's padding left 5%. Alright? So, ni-move na siya from dire, ni-hatag na siya gamay nga space. Alright? So, what would be the next? So, siguro sunod. Okay, let's resize. Okay, so font size, and let's give it 200% buff or 150 na lang. 150% buff. So that means kana. Right? So I think that's, how about let's just give it 200%. So same thing, I'm comfortable using percentage whenever I want to change like sizes or something like that. It's because again, it would automatically adjust to the screen of the screen of the browser. I'm sorry, the browser screen, diba? So regardless kung sa browser ang gamiton, using percentage will just automatically adjust to it. Alright, sa sunod, we want to change the color. Okay, we want to change the color to something like this. So let's set it to 150 na lang. Kay 200 man itong title. So, ang uban ng mga subtitle must be mas gamay. So let's set it back to 150. Okay, so let's set the color. So to do so, we're going to write color property, and then I'm going to open up my library here because nalimot ko sa size, sa color. So same thing, we'll palaban ta og color.adobe.com, and I've already saved here my library, parang color palette, this one. So this, I want this particular color, so I'm just going to copy that. And then paste it right there, save, and then let's reload. All right, connect. Right? Next is we'll work kuan. So far, since ang A is wala siyang appeal, okay? So that means we have to, murag kinahanglan to siya nga, ato siyang i-mention dyan mismo ang A or atong link. In that way, maka-design siya. So far, wala siya ni-cooperate sa atong pag-design sa atong H1 or sa the entire feature, di ba? Di ba? Since we are trying to apply the design for the entire division, kani, so dapat ma-appeal lang tang A. But for some reason, it's not cooperating because I'm not really sure why. So that in that case, we're going to call directly an A. So we're going to give the link special nga care, kumbaga. All right. So what do you want with our link right now? Dili siya makita, so you want to change the color to something like this again, and then we'll turn it to something like this. Okay. So if wala siya gi-hover, muna yung hitsura, but when we hover it, mo change ang yung hitsura. So how do we do that? Of course, let's open up our code. Let's call our kaning link. So how do we call link? Saan na to siya pag-call? Dot hashtag delay. Okay? So first is, ato sang i-locate og asa siya nga nabilong link. So nabilong siya sa, ang A na nabilong sa feature 1 nga division. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to call the feature 1, okay? Feature 1 and then A, all right? That means we are trying to call the link which is inside the feature 1 nga division. Feature 1, ana. All right, nagets lang? Feature 1 and then A, space A. That means we are trying to call the link which is under feature A. All right, so first is we want to change the color to kani. Kopyahan lang natin na. All right, and then let's give it a padding, let's say 10px padding. All right, and then we want to set a color. I'm sorry, we want to set a border. Diba? Kani ba? Tanga to border kana. So how do we create a border? First is we're going to write this one. We're going to write the size of the border, the thickness of the border. So let's give it 3 pixels. And then what type of border? So let's say solid. Diba? Na ay mga dash, na ay dotted. So I want a solid line. And then the color, same thing. We're going to copy this. That's it. Let's say, so that means we are going to create a border which is 3px thickness, thick, and then solid line, and then color kani. So let's save that. Let's reload. Tara. Alright? So, muna na ito ang atong link, kumbaga. So, right now, ang link, dool ra kaayo siya sa atong word nga graphics design. So, how are we going to fix it? No, ang padding, mo man padding ang sulod. So, maybe margin, right? So, I'm not sure if mo work ba siya, but let's try to add margin to that top down. I'm not sure if mugana siya, but let's give it, let's say 20px ko no. Margin top, and then let's try. All right, dili siya mo work. Dili siya mo work ana. So, if all things fail, kumbaga, if all things fail, if dili mo gana ang margin, And there is another hack or another tip that makes a lot easier. Dili siya proper, but it makes designing easier. So let's go back to our HTML and notice nga we have here the H1 and then we set the A or the link right away. So if you can remember, pwede tamo gama og space, di ba? Using the BR. Ana. So by creating this break of line, we'll be able to separate them with one line. Just like that. Right? So, muna yung ginabuhat if dili mo gana ang margin because in some cases, I'm not sure if sa'yo pa ba dyan ang gibuhat, but if dili mo gana ang margin, we'll always use the BR or the break line. Right? So that's it. Now, last thing, if whenever we're going to hover our portfolio, it will turn something like this. Let's take a look. If atong i-hover ang atong link, it will do that. So how are we going to do it? Let's open up our code again. And we're going to call our A, the same thing, but with an instance that when we are hovering it. That means mo effect ra ning atong mo affect ra ang kani ang atong CSS kung atong i-hover ang link. So to do so, let's call it in again, feature 1A. And then to add an instance, we're going to write semicolon and then hover. That means these particular CSS codes will only apply if atong i-hover ang object. Okay? So let's say we want the color to change. So when we hover it, we would like to change the color to kana. So let's copy this. So kung atong i-hover, mao ni ang color mahitabo. So let's set the color to kana. Alright, so let's try. Reload. So, i-hover na ko, dapat mawala siya. Kaya same man siya color sa background. Alright, let's reload. Okay, if you can, I'm not sure if you can see here, but the background color or the text itself has changed to kani. Now, if you've noticed, pula. Nganong pula man eh, pag atong i-hover? Because if you can remember, in our navigation link, every time nga mag-hover ta, pula ang iyang color nga magawas. So, automatic siyang i-adapt siya sa kung sa man gani ang ato ang gigamit diri sa atong navigation. Right? So, we would like to change that. We would like to change it to this particular color when we hover that. So, same thing. We're going to change the background color. Background, color to this. Copy that, paste, save, and then let's reload. Okay, and that. All right, do you follow? All right, so again, you can always design it according to whatever you want. So pwede ganing pag i-hover nimo, ganahan ka nga. You can set it to entirely different color, something like that. You just have to use this particular instance. That means this would be the changes if we're going to hover that link. Ano? So pwede ganyan natin, pag i-hover natin, mudako ang iyang font size if you'd like to. Let's say font size. Font size, let's give it 200% above. So save that, reload. Ano? So mudako siya pag i-hover. And then if ganahan ka nga naay gamayng animation, let's go back to our code. Let's just remove this because it doesn't look good. If you want an animation, you kanang naay delay ba sa transition, so you can always use the transition, and let's give it 0.5 seconds. That means whenever we hover it, it will only apply gradually, just like that. So delay siya, ano bang mo delay siya o mga 0.5 seconds. I'm not sure if you can see it in your end, but in my end here, medyo nag-fade siya ba? Nag-fade siya. Alright, so that's it. Let's proceed to our next line, our next layout, which is this. So in my case, I'm going to add in web development, and then the same thing, view portfolio, and then on the right side, another picture. And ang difference nila is, if you can see, ang atong picture, atong text is in this side, and it is lined on the left indentation. This time, diri na po siya sa right na po siya nga indentation. Right? So let's go back to our HTML again. And then here, feature left. Okay, so this is where we're going to add our web development. So same thing that we're going to do, we're going to group it. So div, and then let's call it, this time let's call it feature 2. And then inside this group or this division, we're going to say web development H1, and then a link. Since we don't have any web page, we're just going to write hash. That means it will refresh the screen. And then let's write view portfolio, and then A. Okay, so first is we're going to just basically copy this. We're just going to copy whatever it is that we did in our feature 1. We're going to, not really copy, but we're going to do similarly. So we're going to call that, let's say, feature, dire. Let's call it in feature 2. And then same thing, the position is relative. And then we're going to set the margin top 50%. And then let's just check it to see how it looks like. Dara. So na siya sa as default, mabutang siya sa left side. Now, how are we going to move it here? Any idea, guys? How are we going to move it from left to right? We're going to use, very simple lang, we're going to use text align. Text align nga property, and then it should be aligned to right. Okay, text align and then right, it will move from left to right. Oops, so let me save. Text align right. So text, sorry, thank you guys. Thank you. All right, text align, all right. So by using the text align property, it will allow us to move from left to right. Okay, so we can either set it to center if we would like to. So let's say center. Actually, I'm not sure if mo center ba siya. Let's try. Okay, dara. Pwede siya mo center, but in our case, we want it to be on the right side. All right. So my next. Same thing. We're going to create a space. We're going to create a space from this part to the left. So same thing, we're going to set a padding, but instead of left, we're going to set padding to the right, 5%. Right, and pretty much we're just going to do whatever it is that we did with the previous one. So that means we're going to set the font size to 150%, and then we want the opposite. Okay, since if you can see here, dark ang background, light ang color, ang text. This time, we're going to do the exact opposite. So we want our text to be this color. So we're just going to copy this, and then we're going to set the color. Let's save that, and then let's reload. Okay, and then as you have noticed, ang portfolio, wala na po siya nag-apil. So we're just going to copy whatever it is that we did here to this. So we can either just copy this, pwede nato kopyahon ang asman ron. Kana, pwede nato na kopyahon, or here's another trick. If we're going to separate this with a comma, let's say, there. We're going to separate it with a comma, and then let's write feature 2. It will automatically, or dot feature 2, it will automatically copy this kani to this, all right? At least that's what I believe. So let's check. There's only one way to find out whether that's true. Let's check. Let's reload. Na, ay, dili na pwede kay ang color niya dapat ang color is kuan. Di na lang, we'll separate them. It's because ang color, now, bantay mo, ang color, mawala siya kasi man siya color, ani. So we're just going to remove this. We'll do it the proper way, which is we're going to call it separately. So again, we're going to call the A. So that means dot feature to A, and then ito na kopyahan na lang. But instead of the light color, we replace the color with this. Same thing with our border. Then let's reload. Kana. Alright, and unsaon ganito nga para mapaubos na to siya? If dili mo work ang margin, we are going to create a break line. Kana. Alright, and then of course we want that whenever we hover it, it will change to kanang pareha ani. So same thing, we're going to create an instance. So let's write feature to a hover. That means this CSS properties will only apply if we're going to hover it. So we're just going to copy. Ano lang, maroon din. Hover, dara. We'll change the color to go back. Let's change the color to this. And then background color. Ano? Alright. Alright. Do you have any questions so far? Naman. Pinaka-bottom asa man pasabot nga ibutang nato dire. Okay, if we want to move it right here, as you've noticed, we are using the first of all, let's try to understand giyon sa nato nga ma-move siya dire from the top, which is the default. We are using the margin, di ba? Asa man ron? Dara, for example, kani feature, we are using this. We set the top to 50%. Now, if ganatang maubos po kaayo, we'll use margin again. So that means we're going to use, let's say, bottom, and instead of 50%, let's say 0. All right? That means it will stay at the bottom. Let's save that, and then let's reload. Okay, 0 sa taas mo siya butang. How about if we're going to say 100% daw? 100% pa. Let's check. Try lang saan eh. Bottom 0 or top tayo sa let me think. If the bottom hold on. Let's set to 10 daw eh. 10%. Anda lang sa tayo sa asa man ako nagipang gani. Murag center man gihapon lagay ng negative. So let's say negative daw. Sakto negative. Negative di ay. Hindi po. Anong di po siya? Negative, let's say, 80. Tara. How about if butang na itong top di ay? Top. Tayo sa namagoy ka ng proper jud ani ba? I think bottom and let's say negative let's say top, and then let's say -10. Hold on. Ito na lang. Let's use bottom na lang. Let's use bottom, and then we'll use, for example, -80 para na siya gamay nga border. That means na-apply remaining at 20%. Di ba? Ano? Or we can set, ikaw na bahala. Basta kayo, we'll use bottom and then use negative nga negative percent. Now, it would be totally up to you kung sa gidakon. If you want to, let's say, -100 yun, meaning tapot yun siya kayo sa ubos, pwede na. Pero na siya diri daw. Na siya diri. Kumantay mo. So, by setting it to less than -100, let's say -80, para makita gyapon siya sa ato ang screen. So, na-answer ba akong question? Na-answer ba yung question, Brian? All right. So we will use this. Can bottom, either top or bottom, right and left. Basically, these are margin, okay? So mura kag nisulat og margin bottom ba? Margin bottom. Ano? Same ra gyapon na siya. Or wala na noon. And let's just use bottom, regular nga bottom. But the idea is we're using margin. Right? But this time, let's set it back to top, -50. Oh, sorry, that's daily negative but positive 50. All right, and then let's proceed. Do you have any other questions, guys? Okay, let's proceed to, and let's add a photo on the right side. So let me look for a photo. Kanang bagay. Hold on. No, this is not web development. This is programming. Kanina lang ay. All right. So we will use this picture on the right side, and it's 13.jpg. So let's use dara. This is the division. This is the division. Call 6 feature. I'm sorry. Feature 2 right. So let's go to feature 2 right, and let's replace the background color to background image. So same Rene, I know you already know how to do this since this is the third time now that we did this. The background image URL, and then location that is in images slash so the file name 13.jpg. Okay, 13.jpg. Let's save that, and then let's reload. All right, and then again, next is we're going to set, to make sure lang yun, is we're going to set the background size to cover, and then ano lang, since this is right where I want it to be. Let's reload. So far we're already done with this part, and then this part, and then there's only one or two things we have here, the about. So actually, wala na ako na nahuman. But again, that is why we have this class, because we're going to do it ourselves right here. So in this part, I want to add a picture, since this would be about myself. Now this page would be about me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a picture of myself, and then on the right side would be just anything, any details about myself. So here, this is what I want to write. I want to write my name, and then title, and then my educational qualification, and then address, and then contact number, and then email address. All right? So there's different ways to do that. Let's start with the picture. So ang picture dito na to ibutang aside. So to add a picture, obviously you already know how to do it. I know you already know how to do it. So here we're going to, saan ito pag-add og picture gani? Which tag or which element are we going to use? Everyone? How do we add a picture? Using, unsa nga element nga gamiton? Unsa nga element? Image, right? Okay, but that's right. We'll be using the SRC nga attribute. Okay, and the location is in images slash kani unsa mga picture akong ibutang. This one, right? Juleus.jpg ang file name. So images slash Juleus.jpg. Okay, and then close. Let's check. Tara. Alright. So, dako siya kayo. Okay? So, dako siya kayo since dako man yung picture na how are we going to fix it? Let's go back to our CSS. Now, let's call this. How are we going to call it? So, not about me left. Alright? So, omni. Okay? So, let's call our image. So, to do so, we're going to call, asa nga bilang ang image, diba? So, for us to call the image, since we don't have any class sa atong image, we're just going to call ang iyahang ang class name. So it's under, hold on. Okay, it's under about me, left, and then image, right? Sakto ba? And then let's set the width, or let's say the height. Let's say let's give it about 60%. Let's set that. Let's check it. All right. So it's 60% of the entire screen na siya. And then next is we want it to be moved to the center. So saan ginatuto siya para ma-move siya sa center? Dire gyud ani? The same thing, we'll be using the position, which is relative, and then top, we're going to set 50%, and then let's check 50%. So ang makita mo is move siya paubos. Taas na kayo. Hold on. Let me fix it real quick. Anong dako ito? 50%. Alright, it's okay. And then, okay, let's set the katong transform na pod. Transform, and then let's give it and then negative 50%. Para mabalik siya because center siya pero ang center lagi kay naa diri sa ibabaw niya, di ba? So we want the center of the picture to be in the center itself, right? So that's why we're using translate from then negative 50 meaning mo paubos ang yung center to this. This will allow the picture to move 50% or a little bit to the top. So let's save that and then let's reload. Tara. Ano? Alright, and then how are we going to move it to the center? Now, we can either try this. Let's try if magana ba itong text align. But since this is not a text, meaning I don't think this will also work because this is not text. Let's reload. Now, wala siya ni work. Now, since this is an image, we are going to, same thing that we did with this, we're going to, let's say, left 50%, and then reload. Kana, ma-move siya 50% to the left. However, ang yang gi-compute is na adring side. That means we have to transform it and move the center of the picture to this area para ma-move niya ang picture direct. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but let's just do it. So, as you can see here, in kaninga side is for the top and bottom, and then if we're going to add negative 50 in the first part, that means it will transform the center from top to bottom. I'm sorry, left to right and then top to bottom. So that means negative 50% for the left to right, and then negative 50% for top and bottom. Let's save that, then let's reload. Then it is now in the perfect circle. Na siya pinakatunga gyud. So again, pinakatunga siya nga diri nga side ra gyapon, okay? Diri siya nga side. Because we want the right side to put atong name, ang address, so on and so forth. Next, the sunod siguro. Okay, we want to transform the shape to circle, diba? Just like this. So how do we set it to circle? Any idea, guys? Border radius, that's right. Now, the border radius, let's set it to 50%. That means it will give us 50% radius from each corners. Now, however, this will only work if ang atong picture is square, right? Perfect square. So, before you add, if you wanted to add a circle sa imuhang design, make sure nga ang imuhang picture is square. Diba? Sa naman ang pag-square sa picture, diba? If you're using phone, it's very easy to crop your picture to square. Diba? Because if ang mahitabo kung, let's say for example, let's just check it. Let's do it first. We want to change it to, let's give it 50% border radius para mahimo siyang circle. So, let's say border radius, let's give it 50%, and this is how it's gonna look like. Na ma-circle siya. However, if we're going, that right now it looks like a circle, perfect circle, because the picture itself is square. What about if we're going to replace the picture with a rectangle? Let's say, kani, rectangle mo ni siya sa, o kani nga picture ato butang, so that is 1.jpg. So if we're going to replace it with 1.jpg, which is a rectangle here, this is how it's gonna look like. Na. So 50% ang young edges, but dili siya perfect circle because the picture is rectangle. So again, if you wanted to create a perfect circle to your web page, first is you're going to crop it to perfect circle. Just like what I did with my picture. And since square naman siya, so that's why it gave us a perfect square, or a square, perfect circle na picture. So let's set it back to Alright, so we're almost done now. After we've added all the necessary information that we'll be needing, we're going to design for, obviously this is for desktop, and that's ato dang kumustahon ng atong mobile view if unsa na siya. So here, ang mobile view nato medyo guba pa siya. Anyway, it would be very easy to fix it later on. So naguba ang atong mobile view. Anyway, we'll fix it once we're already done working with our desktop view. So on the right side, we want to add text like this. Kaning Juleus or Publico, Master of Science, Information Technology, this, basically everything that we'll be needing. So how do we do that? Let's go back to our code, and then here, about me, right? Same thing that we usually did. We're going to group them. So we'll create another class. Let's call it about me. And inside this, we're going to add my name using the header. And then a paragraph for graphic designer. Alright, let's check. Okay. So graphic designer, and I want to add this, kaning Master of Science, Information Technology, so on and so forth. So there, we can either use the same tag, we can use T for each of them, but I would suggest to use kanin. Let's use UL, an ordered list. It would be better para dali na natong pag-design dito mag-design binagsa. And then let's use LI, and then each of these lines will be a list, right? So let's say Master of Science in information technology. All right. And then to create another list, we're just going to create another LI na tag. All right. So let's just duplicate it. Second one is for address. So let's say Bais City, Negros Oriental, Philippines. All right. And then contact number. And then lastly, my email address, that is juleus@publico.gmail.com. So let's erase the last list. Save that. Let's reload. Okay, so here it is. So we have here Julius R. Publico, graphic designer, master. Right. So same thing that we've usually been doing. First is we're going to move it to the center, to this part right here. And then let's change the color. And then basically same thing that we've always been doing since a while ago. These two follow, guys. All right. So we'll call it class about me. Tay sana yan akong computer. What's wrong with you, man? Hold on, guys. Yan akong computer. Akong dili ang computer, akong notepad plus plus. Hold on. Alright, tara. Okay. Alright, about me. Okay, so sa mga itong gibuhat nato sa gaina, first is we want to move it to the bottom, to the center. So same thing, let's set the position to relative. And then let's set the top to 50%. And then transform. And then translate 0 top and bottom, and then I'm sorry, left to right, and then negative 50% for right and for top and bottom. And then let's set the color. Wait ha. Inanawag. Hello? Good afternoon. Nara ko NORSU, sir. Nara ko dire. Sige sir, tawagin lang ko pag mabot ka, palihog. Salamat. Parcel, mabot. Okay, my apologies. Alright. So let's set the color to sa mga color kung nindot ano ba? Let's set the color to this. And then let's change the font size to 150. Right, let's check it out. Okay, and then next is we want to remove this. Butang sa nato padding. Padding left. Layo pa jud ta sibo. All right. All right, and then how do we remove this? For example, if we're using a for now, if the basa to example is not tayo mga icons but it's okay. For the meantime, we're not going to be discussing the icons. It would be discussed in our future lesson because this will involve a different library like Bootstrap, right? So we're going to discuss Bootstrap soon, so that we can use these icons. Or it's actually called not necessarily Bootstrap, but it's called Glyph icon. So what we're going to do is we're going to download these set of icons, and then we're going to learn how to use it for our website. Alright, for the meantime, wala lang sa tayo icons. Wala lang sa tayo. We'll discuss it in our future lesson. So for the meantime, it would be just this one. Instead of icon, we're just going to use this outline. And then, siguro ato na usbon ang kanang graphic designer na Word. So same thing that we've always been doing. We're going to call about me, and then P. And then we're just going to copy whatever it is that we did. We're just going to copy this, save, and reload. Oh no, it changed the color. Don't worry, we're almost done now. So. Let's set the width to 250 for some reason. Right. And then let's set the text align to center. All right. So do you have any questions, guys? Right. So unsay kulang nato sa atong design. Of course, kulang sa our footer, but that will be discussed in our feature lesson na lang. Or basically, or actually, we're not going to discuss it now because it will take a lot of time already. But as part of your assignment, you're going to create a footer. It wouldn't be very hard for you now since obviously we discussed naman nato on how we added the elements. So just one more thing, you're going to add a footer just like what I did here. So you can either use this as a guide, kaning part kana. You can either use it as a guide or how are you going to make your footer look like. But obviously, it will be totally up to you. So, dili na lang ako siya includes for the discussion because this is the part because most of the time, you're makopyahan ako ang design. In this part, wala mo makopya, so you're going to provide a footer design on your own. Okay? So what normally comes with the footer is you can just write, you can just say copyright, designed by, and then your name, and then copyright 2020, 2021, and then you can either write your contact information, so on and so forth, or kaninani. It will be totally up to you. Ato na lang i-search how, what footer looks like, website footers. Okay. So you can either, you can search online what would be mga designs sa footers. So, for example, kana. If you don't know how to design it, you can always search online. And then using your knowledge about HTML and CSS, just like what we did, just try to apply whatever it is that you've already learned. Okay? That is for the footer. Okay lang ba? Katulog ko na kayo itong tinguga. Kapay na. Ay, sakit di akong tutun. Takot may punaw tutunlan. But anyway, di ko mo dawat pag ngayon nga, mulik mo kay taas kayo ang klase. Huna-huna 5 hours dapat atong klase every week because this is daily nga class. But since once a week na ito magklase, taas na gani kayo ng 2 hours gani every time that we will have a class. So di ko mo dawat pag naing yun nga aduga taas sa klase ni sir. Because supposedly 5 hours of atong klase per week. Nangwinta. All right. Okay. So this time we're just going to check our. I-fix lang nato ato ang kani. I-fix lang nato diri dapita ang ato ang mobile view. Dali ra kay ni because we've already created so much about our web page, we're just going to fix our mobile view. Right? Kaya pa? Of course, kaya pa. Naminaw rin diya. Naminaw rin mo diya. Wala mo ilang dibuhat. Ano question? Go ahead. Sabanal. Oh, nako-record po. Ga-record ko actually. Ga-record pa ba? Yes, ga-record. 1 hour, 20 minutes na record so far. Right, so we're just going to design our web page for our mobile view. So it wouldn't be very hard because we're just going to adjust some things. So far, actually it looks good. It looks good for me. Kani, di ba? Ang nasa dire nga side. Let's check for any other one. Let's say Galaxy S5. Let's reload it. Mga guba siya sa uban nga mga. Alright. Hold on. Galaxy S5. Actually, it looks good for me, but we're just going. Okay, daran magkalapaw-lapaw. Magkalapaw-lapaw ang uban. So we're going to fix this. Obviously, there will be just small adjustments that we're going to do. Let's set it to iPhone 10 daw. Actually, daghan di ang ulos po. So this is how it turned out. So obviously, we're going to fix it. First is, let's start with the banner. So let's check kato akong gigama gaya na kung saan yung itsura. Okay, muna yung itsura if naka-mobile view siya. So this is what we're trying to accomplish here, okay? So next is we'll fix our banner. So as you can see, ang banner na to, since we are using the cover, di ba? Cover nga background size, ang makita nga part sa tong picture is kani nga makita. So we want to, ang makita is kanang center, kani. So how do we do that? Let's open up our CSS code for the media. Dara, media screen maximum is 768 pixels. So let's start with the banner. So obviously we're going to set, right, so let's remove this, the height, and then let's start with the banner. Na-discuss ba na ko ni nga ang kaning part last week? So basically, this is the grid, di ba? So last time, if you can remember, our grid here, this is the template for our grid. We set it to be, di ba, ang iyahang column width. And then next is, we set, this is a different width, di ba? Because we are using desktop, we are using mas dako nga screen. Therefore, we have here the specific grids. But for mobile, we want everything, di ba? For example, call 1, that is 8.33%. For call 2, that is 16.66, so on and so forth. But whenever we're already on the mobile view, we want everything, because the call 1 up to call 12 to be 100%. Meaning, automatic siya nga mo use the entire size of, the entire width of the mobile device. Di ba? I think na-discuss na ako na. So let's just proceed. Let's just work with the rest. So let's start with the banner, and let's set the background position to, let's try center. All right, let's check. So right now, ang makita nga side is katurang naa sa left, katong sa left side sa picture. So since we move it to the center, hopefully, okay, ang makita na ang picture itself. Now, kabantay mo na puti sa kilid. Alright, actually, it's because of our picture, kani, since nalapaw siya, maupo niyang na-display. Since nalapaw siya, that's the reason why naiputi nga side sa kilid. Alright, so let's fix this first na lang para mas, for us to be able to design it much easier. So let's call it kani nga particular nga picture. Asa gyud nato na gibutang? Na siya sa about me, and then this one. So how do we call it? Same thing, we'll call the parent division, which is about me left. So dot about me, and then left, and then image. And gaina, atong gihatag niya nga size is 60, if I'm not mistaken, 60% ang atong gihatag niya nga size. So this time, let's try to decrease it further. Let's give it about, let's give it a height of, let's say 30 daw, 30%. Let's save that. Let's reload. Yan na. Alright? So 50% na lang siya ron. Okay? So for our banner, okay na siya. However, unsa man ganahan sa banner na to, ihan text, or do you want to add a kanang background something para mas maklaro ang text? Because since naano siya picture, ang text din na kayo siya maklaro. Do you want to fix that? All right. But anyway, just to give you an idea, if in case if maghatag mo butang mo background picture and then kuan medyo sa inyong end busy kayo ang background picture, there's always different ways to fix that. But in my case, I always use this. So let's go back to the banner. If you can remember, our banner is written in or is grouped inside a class called banner title, diba? So let's call the banner title. So this is what I usually do if busy kayo ang background, is to create another background color to it. So for example, we'll say background color, and then I'm just going to select a color which is similar to the background color itself. So obviously, naanataan ng kolora, all we need to do is just copy that particular color, which is this, and then yan na. So what it does is it will give us something like this. Yan na. So bantay mo, na-create siya another background which is intentionally for the text only, diba? So you can either set padding, ganahan mo, butanin mo padding, top, let's say 20 px, and then padding bottom para naa siya space from top to bottom. Let's reload. Or you can also set it to transparent. Now, how are we going to set a transparent color? Do you have an idea? Kailangan ka transparent na siya, makita gamay ang background. Yeah, opacity. Alright? So, in some cases, butangan nila og inani nila. However, ang mahitabo is ma-appeal ang text. For example, 0.5 opacity, ma-appeal ang text og ka-transparent, di ba? So we only want to set the transparency for the background color itself. So we're going to remove that. We'll work on our background color. So I'm not sure if na-discuss na ako ni, but in colors, color picker and W3 school, here, you can set transparent colors directly. So for example, ganahan ko nga transparent color nga ako ibutang sa naron. Okay, ganahan ko nga kani nga particular color will be transparent. Now how am I going to set a transparent color for this? First is we're just going to copy the color itself. Kana. Yan na to na. Let's go to HTML color picker and then enter the value here. Kana, and then okay. And then here, take a look. Natay RGB 166.149.148. So this is what we want. Now this is not a transparent color, but we're going to copy this. And then let's open up our Notepad++ again. We'll replace the original color with the RGB value, and then we're going to add one more value, which is instead of RGB, we're going to write RGBA. A is for the transparency, and then we're going to add another value here, and then the value of the opacity. So let's say, for example, we want it to be 0.5. So instead of just RGB, we've added A, that is for the opacity, and then this is the opacity itself. So for example, RGBA, this is the actual color, and then this is the amount of the opacity. Let's save that, and then let's reload. And that. All right. So basically, we've only set the transparency for the background itself. So let me change that to kana lang, sakto na na, pinag-usog. Right? So just in case you wanted to create a kuan, you know, if naggama mo og title and then ang background sa inyohang title is very busy, you can always do this trick. Right? And then next is this part. Dako ra kayo ang picture. So you want to change this particular areas. Dagko ra siya kayo. So we want our this box to be smaller. Dako ra siya kayo. So to do so, same thing that we did. Let's call that particular division just like that. So then let's set the vertical height to 50. So let's say that, and then feature, let's copy this, and then let's set the height to, let's say, 50 vertical height. That means it will only use, let's give it, let's say, 40. Let's give it 40. No, 50 na lang. 50. Let's save that, and then let's reload. Okay. This time 40 vertical height na lang yung gamiton. Wait sa kadali lang. Hello? Sige sir, pabuto lang kadali sir. Sige, salamat. Alright, kadali lang guys sa akin. Na-parcel na abot. Napalo mo? Do you still follow? Alright, kadali lang kayo kay naabot nga parcel na i-delivery sa gawas. Kadali lang. Are you still there? Okay. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So same thing. So right now, instead of utilizing the entire screen, it's only about 50% of it. And then, right. So we're just going to do the same thing for the rest of the boxes. So that means for this area, that's 50% or 50 vertical height. We're going to do the same thing for this, and then this, and then this, and this one, and this one. All right. So do you have an idea how to do it now? That's good. All right. So let's open up our codes again. So notice that all of those boxes or all of those division will be given 50%, diba? So basically, here's what we're going to do. We can either copy this and then constantly write this. No, pwede natong sige natong balik-balik ko na natong nag-type, or we can use comma, and then we're just going to call all of the divisions or all of the classes that we are using that we want to change, diba? So let's say, for example, feature one that dash left, and then we'll also do the same thing for feature one dash right, right? And then same thing, we're just going to separate it with for our feature 2 left. So we're going to copy that. Remember it's class, so remember the dot. And then same thing, we're going to copy. Basically, we're going to copy the rest. And then for the about me right, and then about me left. That means all of these divisions that we've gibutan nato sa usa ka kuan will be given 50 vertical height. So let's save that. Then let's reload. Tara. So that is about 50%, 50% na every boxes are now given with 50%, 50 vertical height. Okay. All right, and then we're just going to fix just a few more things. This part right here, we're going to move it to the center. Sakto ba itong ibuhat? Actually, di okay na ni. Dito natin move to the center. Actually, it looks good. So, ano lang. So I think that's it for now. And then here, this part right here, we're just going to decrease the sizes na lang, ang font size for okay, pagamit na lang ito ng font size ani para mas bagay sa tanawon. So let's call that ani. So about me. So let's call that, and then let's say about me, and then font size, let's give it about 100%. Kana. Mas gamay na siya. And then let's set the text align to center. And then text decoration, meaning we're going to remove the dots. Set it to none. Paste that. Sabi ito pag move. Do you have an idea how to remove kaning outlines? Google how to remove outline dots in CSS. Removing list dots in CSS. List style list style none. Salamat Google. So instead of text decoration, list style none. Oh, no, we have to call it. So that about me, ULLI, this style none. Okay. And then ito ipatunga ning atong graphic designer. So same thing. About me. Give it left 50%. and then same thing, transform, translate, 0, -1, -50%, and then that's it. Oops. -50, -50, and then 0. All right, so that'll be all for today, guys. Do you have any questions? Right, you can always, okay, you can always improve. I know this is just medyo, sa dobe atong klase, pero dinalian to gid niya, medyo dinalian to niya klase, but ang design, but you can always improve it on your own, okay? So for now, I will not be taking a lot of time for the mag nitpick gani of design. You can always improve it on your own. Right now, let me just decrease the size a little bit. Let's say 25 VH. Hold on. But I know it's okay. All right. Again, you can just design it yourself, na lang. If you decided if you want to uh, if you want to improve the design, you can always do it yourself. All right. So again, part of your assignment, you're going to do the same thing, just like what we did. Not necessarily exactly the same thing, but you're going to, you're going to add elements to your design. So again, tulunan yung assignment for the responsive website. First is your navigation link, and then the layout, and then this time you're going to add elements, and then additionally you're going to create a footer. So just these are examples of footer. Okay, so it would be totally up to you. What are you going to include, or how are you going to design it? Okay. Do you have any questions before we end? All right. Thank you so much for staying on the class. Go ahead. Ah, the record lang. It was now YouTube. Send it to link later on. Okay. All right. Again, if you have any clarification, please feel free to send me a message on our GC. Or again, just let it be known lang yun. If every time nga namo ito yun ako, send lang sa GC. And then if you have any questions or something like that, please let me know. Okay. And then stand by for the links for the assessment, the assignment, and the link for the replay. And then, ano lang. Again, your assignment is you're going to add elements to your web design. Make sure it is compatible for desktop and mobile view. And then lastly, you're going to add footer to it. So if no more questions, please turn on your cameras. By the way, thank you for staying 2 hours atong klase ron. So actually, it's okay because okay. Since remember lang 5 hours dapat ang klase and we're only doing 2 hours a week. So discount na kayo na. Alright, please turn on your cameras. Ang nabilin 54 students so far. Sige, sige, go ahead. Isa lang ano. Ay, sa animation, okay. Sa animation, wa ko'y klase-klase kayo sa naglibog mo kung sa kung it's okay. I will prepare. I'm actually working on the next lesson for the animation, and kanang wala pa na humupan. Manasa ko ninyo. I think sa animation, since it is more about using our mobile devices and mag-isot ko klase pag mobile phone ang gamiton. So ang buhaton is mag-record na lang ko, and then I'm going to upload it to you na lang. Okay? Oh, so, wala ako gamit terms ng animation lang sa wala ako gamit term because gamay raman ang lesson. Maybe later on I will create a quiz. Maybe later on I will prepare a quiz lang, quizzes based on the three lessons that we've discussed. Three lessons lang pa jud niya ato ang web dev 9 lessons na. Anyway, all right, please for those who have cameras, please turn on your cameras. By the way, mo to yung question, Brian, about the midterm. Wala. Di lang sa mo. Announce ako if ever I will be having midterm, I will let you know. All right, so go ready. 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay. All right, thanks so much for attending the class, guys, and I'll see you on our next lesson. Welcome. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Hello. 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 Hi. Hello. 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 Hello.